Hello everyone and welcome to round 6 of the FTX Crypto Cup. It is a brilliant attacking game that looks like it was taken from basically an attacking manual, a manual that says how to attack in chess when your opponent breaks one too many opening principles, and not just opening principles but principles in general, and even though that someone could be world champion Magnus Carlsen. Now let's check out what happened here. It is the first game of the match. It's still rapid, so you guys know everything there is to know. Let's see the moves. Alireza has the white pieces and he opens with e4. Sorry about that. And Magnus replies with the Caro-Kann defense, and that is pawn to c6. We have knight to f3, d5, and now knight to c3. So Alireza declining the usual way this is played. This is sort of an offbeat way of meeting the Caro-Kann. We have queen to a5 by Magnus, and now there are only a handful of games that had this exact same position on the board. For example, one was between Lawrence Trent and Admiral, where e captures and d5 was played, c captures, and then, or rather, no, queen to e2 was played, preparing queen to b5. The idea being that after captures, white can trade queens with queen to b5 check. But here, Alireza deviates from that and he plays bishop to. That's not a bishop. He plays bishop to e2. We have d captures on e4, knight captures, and bishop to f5. Much like you would in a normal Caro-Kann, knight to g3, bishop to g6. And now there is a game where a3 was played in 2019 between Charles Monroy and Jordan Van Foreest, where Van Foreest was able to win this. But here we have castles by Alireza, and it is now as of move 7 that we have a completely new game. So let's see how Magnus treats this. Knight to d7, we have pawn to d4, and pawn to e6 now. And Alireza took some time for his next move, but not as much as Magnus did. He played knight to h4, and here Magnus started laughing a bit. As you can pretty much see them all the time on the cameras, he was either he was amused with this move or he didn't know if it was good for white. Maybe it looked so silly that he didn't even check it when preparing this line. Point being that why would white ever capture this? White castled early, and if you capture on g6, maybe h captures on g6 opens up the h file for the rook. You can play bishop to d6, put the bishop into the attack, bring the queen over to the h file. So it looks like you shouldn't be able to do this. So he spent some 2.5, maybe even 3 minutes pondering on this position, and he decided to play bishop to d6. And why not? The knights are looking very odd here. So Alireza continues with c4. We have queen back to d8 now. This comes with tempo as the knight here is hanging, and now Alireza just captures with knight captures on g6. Now I will show you one fun line that is possible here, specifically because the bishop on d6 is undefended, and that is pawn to d5. It is similar to what Alireza played, but Alireza decided to capture on g6 first. But now you are offering the knight here, and it's it's a question of what do you play here, because you either allow white to capture on e6, which kind of messes up your pawn structure in front of the king, or you accept the challenge, queen captures on h4. Now d captures on e6, attacking the knight and the bishop here, and once the queen helps out with the defense, e captures on d7 with check. And it seems like this shouldn't be all that great for black, but still, let's say queen captures on d7, rook e1 now threatens all sorts of nasty discoveries, knight e7, queen to d4, attacking g7, and now best for black would be bishop to b4. So if played, properly, should be in equalish position, but white should always be better. Rook to d1 check, sidestepping this attack, and white is ahead in development, so white will be a little bit better here. But okay, Alireza went for knight captures on g6. He invites Magnus to attack him, opens up Carlsen's h file, h captures on g6, and now he executes d5 with the threat of captures, and then the bishop will be hanging. So queen to h4, Magnus happily accepts this. He goes for checkmate, queen captures on h2 will be checkmate. h3, now inviting bishop captures on g3, but if you allow this, then you might as well resign. If you go for this captures, and captures, then Alireza just gets all the development he needs. Bishop f4, or even before capturing, you might even capture on e6 once. Captures, and now go for this bishop to f4 idea, attack the queen. Once the queen moves, bishop g4, and look at this bishop pair nicely slicing all the way there. Queen controlling the d file, rook controlling the f file. There's no way the black king can survive this. So of course he didn't go for that. He played e captures on d5. He opens up the e file, and now c captures on d5. Now Alireza is saying, all right, I'm gonna capture here, and then where are you castling with your king? And okay, Magnus agrees with this. He plays pawn to c5. It's an ugly move to make, but what are you gonna do? And now Alireza plays the beautiful pawn to a4, preparing pawn to a5, and then he wants to bring the rook into the game via rook to a4, as this will be attacking the black queen here. So Magnus stops this with pawn to a5, but maybe this was one of those cases where it's better to just allow your opponent to, accomplish what he wants to do than stopping it, because now Alireza has this spectacular bishop to b5, and now there's no good move you can make for Magnus. Rook to e1 check is coming. You would like to castle queenside, although if you castle queenside, how are you defending your queenside? Bishop d2 goes after a5. Once you defend it, look at this, queen b3. And now bishop to c6 is coming, bishop captures on a5. There's all sorts of nasty maneuvers here that black will be unable to stop. So instead, after bishop to b5, Magnus plays knight to f6. He continues development, but now Alireza says, you will not be castling this game, sir. Delivers rook to e1 with check. Of course, you can't block with the knight as the knight is pinned. So king to d8 by Magnus, and now comes rook to a3. Here Alireza finds a brilliant maneuver of how to further harass Carlsen's queen. He wants to play rook to c3, rook to c4, and kick away the queen. As you can see that the queen, knight, bishop are all controlling very important squares here. So basically you're going to force the black queen completely all the way back. So rook to e8, Magnus wants to trade down, and now rook captures on e8. You could ignore this with bishop to e3 as white is controlling more space, but Alireza goes for a very concrete line. Captures, and goes for what he decided. Rook to c3, now rook to c4 is coming, and this is probably Magnus's last opportunity to play queen to d4 before the queen is just kicked all the way back, offering a queen trade. And now, for example, if rook to d3, then you go back, queen to h4, but now at least the white rook will not be able to harass you. But Magnus instead, after this rook to c3 idea by Alireza, plays king to d8. He unpins. Now, okay, knight to e5 will be possible, but Alireza is just faster. Rook to c4 attacks the queen. Queen all the way back to h8, and now bishop to g5. Not just pinning the king here, as now the knight cannot move, but also claiming the h4 square for the rook. Now this queen is really just getting kicked around the entire board. So knight to b6, finally attacking this rook. Now comes rook to h4. We have queen to f8, and now knight to e4, putting pressure on the knight here. There's just, again, no good way to defend. If you play something like bishop to f7, then d6 traps the bishop. It's just a massacre. So here Magnus sidesteps with the king. Once again, he has to allow the capture on f6. Knight captures, g captures, bishop captures, now threatening rook to h8. This wins the queen and the game. So king to c7, and now we have queen to d2. Alireza could play rook to h8, but he can still improve his position before actually capturing the queen. So queen to c8, and now rook to h7, just going after the f7 pawn. And here Magnus finds nothing better than to trade the queen for the rook and bishop. So he goes rook to g8. He invites Alireza to play rook to h8, and Alireza happily goes for this. Rook to h8, queen captures, bishop captures. We have rook captures. Now it's bishop and queen against Magnus is knight, bishop, and rook, so it still might be playable, but after queen captures on a5, there's just not a whole lot to hang on to. So rook to h4, and now queen back to e1. We have knight to d7, now comes g3, kicking away the rook. You can capture here, but then we play some like king to g2, so basically it's important just to not allow any action here on the h2 square. So rook back to h8, and now queen to a5 with check. Magnus blocks this. We have queen back to c3, rook captures on h3, and now Alireza plays queen to g7, and it was in this position on move 36 that Magnus Carlsen resigned the game, as there is nothing more to be done here. f7 pawn is falling, then everything falls, and there's just no compensation to continue playing this. So truly a spectacular feat of attacking chess. Magnus tried a weird variation against Alireza. He probably mixed something up. But even in this line that he sort of mixed up, there were a lot of ways where he could have continued playing the moves that we've shown. For some reason, he just it just didn't go his way, and for some reason he kept laughing for the entire game. Ever since this this move by Alireza knight to h4, here he started laughing, and then he just laughed for the entire game. It's like I don't know why some people were saying that he was listening to Monty Python's on his headphones. It could also just be that he was laughing at the position. If you guys have any more insight into this, do share in the comments so everyone else can improve their vast knowledge. So yeah, that's the game. First game of the match, Alireza versus Magnus. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I would like to thank Michael Sakarias, Hechla.com, Standish Company LLC, Attila Kaja, and Brian Enriquez for your contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot. I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. Thank you for watching, and I will see you soon, continuing the coverage of the FTX Crypto Cup until it finishes. So thank you all. I will see you soon, and have an excellent rest of your day.